Hello Aquarius birthday girls and boys, congratulations, it is our time finally, especially for those in February because it's 3 weeks versus 1 week. Happy belated birthday to everybody that I missed, guys. I did congratulate in my weeklies. So before we start, I invite you to my weekly session every Saturday morning. Have a coffee with me. It's 11 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And second thing is in the description, you see down here, you go and subscribe yourself for my newsletter or for Facebook, Instagram. So that way you can also receive oracle messages and other client special kind of like things, and sometimes even coupons. So what do we have here? Is like one thing after another turning out great. We have a master number 44, and Ingu's rune is also master number. It's 22. It's the rune of potential. So let's see what kind of like potential we will experience in this period of time. First of all, this was the first card that actually jumped, and it was like flexible, and I wanted to take only one card, but this one was out, and I said, fine, let me lift it up. And then flexible thinker, and it makes more sense, and it so much makes sense for us Aquarians, isn't it? So about flexible, it's kind of really interesting because if you just compare, for example, a building to a tree has those roots, and let's say tornado shows up and tree is able to sway and twist and turn. Those branches can really withhold quite a bit of basically, you know, abuse without being kind of like lost, just like this beautiful trapeze dancer or whatever gymnast is doing. Thinker, and like, let's say this is not maybe going to work for the building where it just gets struck down because it kind of like loses its flexibility. We generally are not a very flexible sign. Or maybe let me take this back. We are a more strategic sign. Even though sometimes we don't really sit. People think, well, we sit and just chart that strategy. No, it doesn't work like that, but it's kind of like we are like chess players. We kind of like think 2 or 3 or 4 things in advance and kind of like work with that. That kind of like would be that kind. So flexibility, oh my gosh, I already thought about it, I want to go in that direction. See, that's where kind of like it becomes difficult. But this flexible thinking, ooh, that makes sense. Thinker is just like so much up our own alley, right? Because we are always in our thoughts. We kind of like maybe think that everybody thinks like that, but nope, 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 nope. Not everybody thinks like that. So this is really telling us about logical processing of something, that logically we need to move in the next phase. And it is master 44 nonetheless. 44. 44 is 8, is like about building foundation. It is also about understanding what works, what doesn't work, kind of a thing, right? Because really it's going to be a process of elimination of some kind. But I also feel for some Aquarians became very rigid because it sounds like that some of us have been solo for a while and deciding to stay solo for a while. It kind of like feels comfortable. It almost like becomes, you know, something that you really want to protect. It can be addiction, trust me. If you ever get into that situation, you will see it yourself. But this is really saying that that kind of like gateway is opening. We do not see these walls anymore. We are starting to look elsewhere, and look at these beautiful stars appearing everywhere. And this is our time. This is our card, right? Also here with this rune of potential, which as you can see does not have inverted meaning. And I know these runes have their own meanings, but I kind of like always learn these runes with what they mean to me, because Odin basically was stuck in the hangman pose, and apparently that sacrifice he made, he was reading runes underneath him, and he kind of like came up with the concepts, and I did something similar. To me this was like always representing some kind of like stitching, right? And true enough, this is really talking about health and well-being and fertility, especially when it comes to men. This is also a rune of new beginnings, right? And that's kind of like that thing, originality, creativity, and new start. Like, but also to start something new, which is really clear where we are going, we need to kind of like really make sure that we resolve some old things, or they can just like taint this kind of like new thing, right? Also, don't think that this is just going to be, oh, we'll push this button, everything will work fine. Even if you're like in a park with all this kind of like fairs and games, you're still screaming when you're going down this, right? So it still can actually be fraught with anxiety and also concerns for the future. But the whole message here is, do not worry, because it's going to be plenty of opportunities. It's not going to be one. And that's the problem. Like, I mean, many of us decided to stay rigid because, you know, rigid was something that comforted us, that we knew where we are. We had these walls, but it's a time to start bending and start to be playful. And being playful is the best part of being Aquarian. And look at that. Give your relationship a chance for those of you who are in there, and for those of you who are not, romantic feelings. Somebody new might be starting, might be visiting, might be really just like quickly whispering. So what to do? Maybe you're going to think, 44, can I build my life with you? I don't like your shoes. No, I can't. Next. Can I build my life with you? I like your face, you're cute, but you're a cheater. No, next. Oh, how about you? Well, I do like your shoes and I do like your face. Okay, but you know, I really cannot talk with you. You're not very bright, and you know, this is the problem that we have. We kind of like always like people who are smart and smarter than us, and that's a challenge because we want to catch up. So what I'm saying here, guys, being choosy is okay, but there are limits to that being choosy. So be flexible and not so much. Don't think, whoa, this is the final destination. As I said, there'll be lots of opportunities. So you're just stepping into that sea. So step it a few times before you start to swim. It's okay to date a little bit before you kind of like go forward, right? It's okay to do it. So don't sweat. Enjoy this month. We are actually moving somewhere forward. So the next part, I'm going to shuffle the cards and we are going to see a little bit more through Celtic Cross for this month. So let me start doing that. All right, I'll be telling you the cards as we come along. It's really interesting. The card that was jumping out was Three of Sea. It was saying, hey, being open-minded, being flexible. Maybe somebody's not exactly the way we want to have them pegged, but they still might be friends. They still might get along. I usually use this example of one guy that I really liked. And honestly, he would never be the guy I would select on any of those online sites. And then I realized, hey, maybe I was seeking somebody really, really wrong. This guy was like this rock musician, kind of like, which I hate. And, you know, so, but he kind of like had a lore about him, etc. It was one thing to another. Took a long time before we actually started to date because we worked together. But I think it was a big lesson for me to understand that, oh my goodness, I started looking at the other people I was with and said, how many of them would really pass my kind of like bar, my kind of like test? And this is like literally talking about that. Look at those friends. Look at how you can make, you know, things, sea dog and cats. It almost like sounds like my family, 2 cats and a dog, except my dog doesn't swim. My doggy is underneath my chair and here cozying up with me. Poor thing, he's still sick with that parasites that the breeder left me with, but hopefully he's going to get better soon. So send him some warm wishes. The past and the guiding energy. So we have the 10 of fire here, and we have here 2 of earth. So it was like poo-poo hit the fan. It was like, oh my goodness, let me find something. Let me find a shelter. Maybe some of you just decided to stay under that shelter, stay under this cover, stay because somebody was just messing with your sense of thinker. And that's where people go wrong, because we have extremely forceful personality, but we don't activate it. Like it's forceful on 10, and when we push this 10, it's like kind of like that red button, like everything explodes, the whole world goes into little bits and pieces. But like we generally go in a little, but this was freaking 10. Something happened. Somebody was like really messing with our equilibrium. Somebody was making us big promises, and instead, you know, things just like went to hell. And that looks like it's the past over here, and maybe it was like that burn, the lesson. Hey, I'm not doing this anymore. I don't want to do this anymore. But look at these 10s that are showing up over here. But before I get there, let's check this one out. 7 of Sky. So 7 of Swords. Look at that. We are seeing these 2 enthusiastic kitties. And one is saying, oh, look at these blackbirds. Look at these blackbirds. I need to get a blackbird, kind of a thing. But look at the other one is taking that little micey. Ooh, while you're watching, I'm going to grab this. So it's kind of like the card of generally kind of like where a person doesn't feel fully comfortable when you don't know what's behind your back, and none of us wants to have a partner that would be kind of like presented, that we want to present to ourselves that way, right? But this came reversed, and guess what? When this comes reversed, it's almost like celebration. It almost like sounds to me, it was that aha moment. It was, oh my goodness. And it's one of those things when you're going through some kind of like trauma, everything is so vivid, everything is triggering you. Some people become more aggressive, some people kind of like become more to themselves, and some people a combination of the two, kind of like, don't touch me, but if you touch me, you know, I'm going to bite you, kind of a thing. So this is kind of like saying, oh my goodness, I'm wasting my life. Why? Because of you. It's that clarity when it's almost like the Snow White is finally waking up. So that kiss of a prince is coming here, which doesn't have to come from a prince, because we have such a powerful mind that we can activate our own mind. That shows here really clearly. We have like this 5 of Fire, and this is again, we are saying to ourselves, well, you know, it is not the point of me just sitting in my home and doing nothing and being fearful and not moving forward. The point is like trusting myself that I'm going to be setting my boundaries, right? Hey, you know, it can be playful, it can be a little bit rough, but you know, it's kind of like really interesting that my coaching clients sometimes get so surprised. Like I say, look, you know, I mean, I don't tell people what to do, like we always explore options, but I also tell them, like based on my experience, if you go with this option, that's where you end. If you go with that option, that's where you end, kind of a thing, right? So that's where kind of like problems can lay. And what basically is happening over here, that you should actually really try to do things that you're fearing. How about that? Oh, I don't want to say this, or I don't want to do that, or I don't want to show it because he'll run away. But guess what? Generally they don't. And I mean generally 90% or even more, 95% of the time. So people are amazed. Oh my goodness, I thought, you know, I would lose this. And then finally you're realizing that everybody was trying. Everybody was trying their own things. So 2 partners in a relationship, like you are imagining them like this. You're imagining them in that soulmate union, right? In the embrace, just like we have for this particular month. Ingus also is a master. It's a number 22. So it's going to be formation of some system. And system is really, really important. But I really think it's about relationship for us. We are so tired because we have been in some kind of like sphere that we have been half dead or not activated, or things are not happening the way we wanted, or people were not coming and feeling us. It almost felt like And it's not that we are asking for other people to say, oh, come here, and like, we actually hate that. It's not our thing. Our thing is like, do you really get me? Like, really, like, things. Because what happens when you get angry? Like, we get angry because something that we expected, our expectations have been eroded, right? And we are still expecting that something gets resolved. So sometimes we get aggressive and we insist on that to happen, and sometimes we just climb up and we just kind of let go into our own presence, into our own existence, wondering about that, right? But please, guys, don't fret. Look at this Sky Queen. That is us, not this Sea Queen. The Sea Queen, many people kind of glorify, and that's the beautiful, all loving and caring, blah blah blah. Okay, fine, but I need somebody I need to talk to. I need somebody with whom I'll be flexible and I will flex my muscles in my mind. This is really great, but I wanted this for such a long time, and instead of it, I was just getting other people who were just adding to my load, adding to my whining and like doing stuff. So what we are learning is twofold. One, no more whining. That negative experiences are just making us a little bit feeling superior and feeling jaded. No, why this never happens to me. So we are finally over that phase. We are finally waking up. There is like waking up where we realize, well, I'm not helpless. I can do it and I will do it, right? And those of you who come to me with this whiny story, etc., you know what? I have to figure out what I want. And this is so clear, because it looks to me that we Aquarians have been carrying other people on our shoulders. And what did they do? They bit the hand, they fed them. And it kept on going on for quite a while, because look at these fires. Look at that. We are going from to 10 to fire toms. So it's kind of like the next stage. So everything is like getting messed up and somebody's trying to get through it, but most likely, you know, he has to be very, very careful in this. But nonetheless, it is like feeling alive. It is feeling like going into some kind of action, and it gets better. Because look at here, 10 of C. That's this card of emotional fulfillment, which we are getting through our own intuition, through our own ability to activate. So it is understanding. You know, some people look for that why question. Some people look for God. Some people look for enlightenment. And some people also get really lost in doing all of that. So looks like some of us have been in that kind of like arena doing something like that. And this is finally the comfort, the saying, look, I'm kind of happy with who I am. Look at myself in the mirror. I don't look that great, but hey, I can lose some weight and my hair is all over the place. But I'm so cheery and I'm so happy, and I really want others to be happy with me and for me, and I can be there for them. So that's that overwhelming thing. So like, look at this. We have like these 2 10s. There's like a turnaround point, Aquarius. Turnaround point big times, and going all the way up, looking from the above. The basically perspective is much, much higher. And look at her pretty little necklace. It's kind of like winter time. She's looking, but she totally knows what she's doing. And guess what? It could be some kind of like love messages. To a point, we see a fire tom, which it could be that maybe we were dealing with somebody who is, and this was by the way 10 of cups. Maybe we're dealing with somebody with whom we have been friends from before, because in March we are going to enter Mercury retrograde. So keep that in mind. It could be love messages, because that basically, you see that activity kind of zooming through it. Like for those of you who have cats, this is one of those moments when you just hear in the middle of the night, and they need to get like their energy like really getting out while everybody else is watching, and this is almost like a show. But this also can talk about travel. It could be somebody who is at a distance. It could be one of those long distance relationships, right? And it could be somebody who is a water sign, or somebody who has a very strong presence of a water sign, or somebody who did manage in the past to lure you into I love you and da da da. And good luck to that person this time around, because I really think that you are totally realizing what's going on here. So look at here, we have like the sea kitten, and we have the floating cat or the hangman over here. So the Page of Cups and the Hangman, both reversed. So this card generally talks about new romantic interest, and this one as well. They're like very different. This is kind of like innocent and very immature, and for people who go through this, they don't want something immature. Kind of like they really want, even though we, as I'm saying, open up and be flexible, even if somebody's like wacky, just because feel like that it was that cocoon stage, it's over. We are getting out of that cocoon, and not just a little bit. We are not just like doing that tuck 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 to get out. We are going poof, we out. I'm out. I'm out. I'm out. What's to eat? Kind of a thing. Where's my coffee? That's kind of like impact is going to be. The floating cat worries me a little bit, because it says, well, we didn't absorb all the lessons that we needed to absorb. There's a little bit of that, because generally this is like about taking things from a different perspective. But I really think, given that it was a cocoon, well, what freaking different perspective. I was in a cocoon. I had to protect myself, and I didn't have perspective. I had only one perspective, that I had to survive. I had to kind of come to myself. So I'm not overly worried about this card. Let me clarify a few things over here. What do I want? I want to see, because we see people. We see two queens over here, right? We see this fellow Fire Tom. So it could be somebody Sagittarius, that can be fire sign, that can be water sign over here. Both energy, as I told you over here, might not be the perfect ones. Do not immediately shy away and go, oh no, I still didn't resolve my issues, because remember, just be a buddy. We are good at being buddies, especially around our birthday. This year, this is going to be a fantastic year for us. If you guys didn't order your annual tarot, look at in the look at below. It is cattarot.ca/annual, and get it, and you're going to see all these different segments and how it goes. And it's also getting a coupon with that annual with me, that you can get a reading like at a really good price. So it's really worthwhile. It's about an hour and a half, but it is up to you. This is one slice, and the slice of February, when it's my birthday, the 15th, it's going to be interesting. I think, you know, it was a message that I'm not born on the 14th but on the 15th, because that apparently appears to be the day that has majority of the divorces. I guess people kind of like decide to go off to the 14th and see if things will work out, and then when they don't, knock 15th. So there you go. This, I think, also was a day, I think Galileo died on that day, I know, but Tiffany, the jewelry that I love, is born this day. Look at that. It was some kind of like message in the past. There's like still something going through our head about somebody, or maybe waiting for somebody but not waiting. How to explain it? Waiting but not waiting. We want to hear from somebody, but if we do, they would just like see our big teeth. You know that, like, I mean, what is, like, I mean, what's the story? A Red Riding Hood, kind of like a story, right? So, oh, my grandma, you have such a big teeth. Kind of like we would really show those big teeth. And it looks like we kind of balanced our emotional state. Everything is coming in order. And even though it looks like we have been going through a period, but maybe we have, quote unquote, lost to somebody who was like a water sign, or we have been dealing with lots of people who were just like too much, and we couldn't carry ourselves because we really had to save ourselves with this kind of card. Nevertheless, things were kind of like still being pushed on top of us. So whether or not there's like somebody from the past, this is saying give your relationship a chance. It is the rune of new beginnings. It is possibility of us being flexible, because I think for a long time we couldn't have been flexible. The things were problematic. Let me zoom this out a little bit here for you. And I want to see why these two cards are reversed. Why is the sea kitten reversed? And I got two, and I got the Judge, and I got Enemy. Well, Enemy, I generally think it's always X energy. It's always, you know, something that comes and being sent. So there is like definitely that we are, you know, that Mercury retrograde also has this like 3 weeks preparations when everything goes off. For me, majority of my stuff happens in either pre-retrograde or post-retrograde. But I'm wondering if you have been dealing with somebody who may have been married, or marriage was a part of the problem. They didn't want to marry you, you didn't want to marry them, they have been married, or something else has been conditioned over there. So, or it was like a lots of like, I mean, problems on that aspect that was going on. And let me see the floating cat. I love the name, the floating cat. What's with the floating cat? What is it we did not learn yet? How is it possible? We are doing so well. Floating cat. Oh, I got 4. Well, the first one was journey. So was it somebody who maybe is not nearby? Was it somebody that is maybe long distance, or that you traveled somewhere to see somebody? So you need to think back to that point that was like something that has been amiss or missed at that point. Maybe everything was working okay until the very end, and something happened that didn't add up, and maybe you still didn't think through it, and it's going to give you some kind of clues. Thought again, we are such a thinkers. Gift and ecclesiastic. It almost like sounds to me that somebody has been married, or somebody was following strict religious rules, and we didn't fit, and they didn't fit, and it just couldn't work, and there was like interruption, or it was never meant to be in a way that is like solid, that is going to stay. In fact, this relationship was supposed to open us to really huge depths of love. And whether or not like you still have the resonance of this relationship, or you're simply kind of like thinking, okay, I'm moving forward and I'm clean, I have no problems from the past. Oh yes, there are still issues that is basically karma telling you, look, there are certain things that sort of like start to be ingrained in you, and that's the problem in your fixed sign. You know, you put the ice in the fridge and eventually it turns from water into ice, right? But like we kind of like freeze much faster, we became solid much faster. So this is kind of like asking us to have that, you know, ability to fly. So if they show up, don't chop their head off. If there's a guy coming in your life and he wants a quickie, I'm seriously seeing here, you know, that, hey, you know what, I'm hungry, I'm going to eat. And some of Aquarius didn't have sex in a while, and somebody very attractive is going to show up and offer themselves. And it looks like it's going to be accepted. It might even be a nice message from this person. On the other hand, this person that maybe there's like still possible, you know, layers of problems from the past, he's still thinking, or she's still thinking about it, it's still there, but looks like they were very immature and they were not able, this possibly sea queen, the Queen of Cups, was holding them, or maybe it was the money, and unfortunately it was just some money, a little money, and maybe something really appeared to be really big and really important, and some kind of like visit. There's lots of travel, lots of visits over here. I mean, like one person was coming, another person was going, and you know, we are looking this from above, and like one is on the top, one is on the bottom, and somehow everything became a big mess. But the mess is over, the time is over. It's freaking enough. Enough, basta, right? It's over. So let me grab one more card so I can seal this reading for us Aquarians. It's going to be kind of like interesting month, and it's going to be very lovey-dovey month, but I don't think you're going to go all the way. I don't think you are going to go and say you are the one. Instead, it's going to be, let's see where this is going, and let's see if you can redeem yourself. Let's see if I can be a better person. It's going to be overall good. And we have 28 reversed, and it's movement. Why is it reversed? This ostrich. This is what it says. Do you feel as if you're walking in circles, seemingly not getting anywhere? Consider the spiral that travels up and around. 2 steps forward, 5 steps back. Even backward movement helps you progress and reach your goal. You may need to revisit some of the places where you forgot to look for treasure. Another message is this: lessons need repeating for those who refuse or are unable to learn them the first time. Consider this another invitation to mastery. Okay, I really think this is more applicable to those. I can see actually at this stage both. I can see this is really applicable to those who might actually go through a renewal of the relationship, that certain kind of like messages will come through, and it's going to be that both parties are a little bit softer and you sort of like give them a chance kind of a thing, even though to some extent there's like still the harsh edge. But I also see that those maybe of us who are like really trying to go into something else, one, we have learned something. We will not go for the second spin if we are dealing with somebody who is unavailable. We have learned that, been there, done that, not doing it. I'm up here, you are not here. But this doesn't mean that we cannot just go and have a coffee, that we are going to set our boundaries, like these kiddies over here say, hey, you know, I really enjoy having a coffee with you, but no, I am not going down that path. But do you have a friend, right? I would like to meet, kind of a thing. It's going to be just like that. The, you know, bearable lightness of being. Read your Kundera, guys. So, love to hear comments. Where are you guys from? Like, it's -30 in Toronto. I can actually feel the window in and out. We had like, I mean, almost like 2 feet of snow in the last few days. It's beautiful when you work from home. I guess it's not so beautiful for those who have to go out. In fact, for 2 days I'm in, and I really want to get my pop, or as you Americans call it, soda. So I really like my diet soda. I know it's really bad. I know. I can hear you, but that's what I want. So until later on in the month, when I'm going to do X series, I hope to hear your comments. You guys can always chat with me via my email. It is down there. You can leave your comments online, and that way you and your energy is helping somebody else. Or you can just write to me if you're feeling more comfortable with that. Readings are open with me, and as I said, please join my social media, my Instagrams, or even my newsletter. You get some special offers that way, and you know, maybe there's just something you can use. And don't forget to support channel, to support other animals with my annual Terrascopes. So goodbye from Tiger, Safi, and Matrix, and Cat, and until the next time, you know that I love you. All the best.